of our economic capacity and continue to lead globally. And I think that's what we all should commit ourselves to do. That's what today is all about. That's what encourages and energizes the president and all of those who have the privilege of serving on the White House Council of Women and Girls. Thank you very much, everybody.
This is fantastic. We are having an introduction with our future, which is a young lady over here. Our future sitting here. So good morning. My name is Dr. Njema Frazier, and it is an honor to be part of this program today. And I'm here to talk about setting the context, as you see from your agenda. As our panelists take their seats, I'd like to thank the White House Council on Women and Girls, the White House Domestic Policy Council, the U.S. Department of Education, Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education, as well as the Georgetown Law Center of Poverty and Inequality, and especially thank Rebecca Epstein and Becky Monroe for the hours that they put into this, the days and the months, and Dr. Monique Morris for putting me in touch with Rebecca last fall to talk about this important issue. I think sometimes the conversation of underrepresented peoples in STEM fields gets convoluted, and we don't disaggregate as much as we should to talk about girls of color and girls that may be from economically disadvantaged backgrounds. So this is a very, very important program, and I will launch into it. So as the agenda suggests, we have two parts to this first panel, and that is going to begin with our panelists that we have here, really looking at their individual paths in STEM and some of the challenges and some of the advantages, actually, of their unique backgrounds and how that really enriches STEM fields. And so I will stay away from kind of the language of marginalization, bias, microaggressions that are best left to our esteemed panelists that are coming up, and really just echo the fact that what Valerie Jarrett said is very true. I was actually on my way to being one of those 8th graders that was not very interested in STEM. And I think what turned the corner for me were 3 things. One is the involvement of my parents in my education, putting puzzles, putting Rubik's Cubes, Simple Simons, Lincoln Logs, things like that into my hands as early as possible, so that when other factors, right, kind of the awkwardness of puberty and middle school and, you know, things, boys and bullies and things like that come into play, and you start to focus on that more than your potential, you have those embers, right, and you have those things that can be latched onto to bring you back into the fold. I participated in a mandatory, according to my parents, summer school program as a rising 7th and 8th grader, Summer Bridge Breakthrough, and really got to be taught by other local high school students and college students. So, you know, really youth that were interested and invested in education that seemed cool to us as middle school students really brought me back. And then finally, Miss Husengay, who's my middle school math teacher, who gave me U's for behavior because I was a talker. Go figure. But gave me A's in math, right? Because I knew the material, I just couldn't particularly stop running my mouth during class. So she tried seating charts and putting me in the corners. I didn't have as many people to interact with, but I thwarted all her efforts. But she was a phenomenal teacher, and she really knew how to manage me and give me those extra worksheets and extra work to try and keep me occupied. So those middle school years are really just critical. So I wanted to lead in to talk a little bit about how I was brought back from the brink of not particularly being interested in school, science. My parents got me into the gifted and talented program in middle school without my consent. And I thank them every day for that. And really turning the corner and becoming a nuclear physicist and doing what I do today. So it's quite interesting, and I know that we're going to hear from our panelists now. And so with that, I will introduce them. So we have Katrina Birch, who is a senior at Coretta Scott High School in Atlanta, Georgia. Upon graduation, Katrina wants to attend Georgia Institute of Technology and pursue a degree in biomedical engineering. That's to be followed by a master's in public health and a doctorate in epidemiology. So, for anybody who wants to know, uh, that's where we're going. So Katrina currently participates in Project Engages at Georgia Tech, where she studies the effects of antiretroviral manipulation of cathepsin activity causing cardiovascular disease in adherent HIV patients. Correct? Okay. I had to practice that a few times and still stumbled on. Having already been included in journals and co-authored research papers, been invited to undergraduate conferences, and being awarded first place in the Project Engages Summer Oral Competition, this young lady has a very bright future indeed, so we're pleased to have her with us. And next to her, we have Ivana Nunez, who graduated from Queens Vocational and Technical High School, and is currently a career and technical education teacher teaching electronics at that same institution. She majored in electrical installation and has a long history of involvement and advocacy for women in STEM. So as a high school student, she was able, and later as a part of an apprentice program, to be a part of several councils, committees, and panels, which enabled her to express her thoughts and her colleagues' thoughts on school improvements, student experience, and gender equality. So now as an educator, Ms. Nunez teaches her students that determination and dedication will get them where they want to go, and she shows these young girls that they too can be in non-traditional places no matter the circumstances that their life throws at them. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to our panelists.
Hello. My name is Katrina Birch, as she stated, and I go to Coretta Scott King Young Women's Leadership Academy High School in Atlanta, Georgia. And my journey in STEM started for me at a very young age. So, like many marginalized girls, I come from a low socioeconomic background with my single mom, who's here to support me today, and my two brothers. Well, they're not here. So I'm the middle child. I have an older brother and a younger brother, and my younger brother has the George syndrome, which is the deletion of the 22nd chromosome. And so with that came many medical ailments, and that was just the initial spark and motivation of my interest in STEM. So fast forward, and my sophomore year, I transferred to Coretta Scott King, where I am now, and they have different pathways to, I guess, pursue in high school. And so the one that I chose was biotechnology, naturally. And so a few months after, or like during my sophomore year, my wonderful mentor and other wonderful Black women from Georgia Tech came to speak to us, and that was my first actual visual like representation of Black women in STEM that are actually doing the things that I dream about that I didn't really know was possible. So fast forward a little bit further, and a few months later, there was an internship there was an internship given to us by the Georgia Institute of Technology. And so, of course, I applied, and then there was an interview process, and then my mom was in Ohio with my younger brother, and so she was out of town when I found out that I was accepted to the program, so I called Mom, and I'm like, I'm so excited. And so that was my gateway into Georgia Tech. So with the program, we get to do research with graduate and undergraduate, well, graduate and postdoctoral mentors, and we basically take on their projects as our own. And so I'm only a sophomore. Well, it was the summer after my sophomore year. I'm 16. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not good at, well, I'm good at math in high school, but I'm not good at undergraduate and graduate level math. So that was a big step for me. And then it was the whole professional environment I had no clue about. And so with that, there came more challenges with actually presenting the work. And so public speaking was very hard for me. And I guess I really had the support from my mentors who looked just like me, came from backgrounds similar to mine, and so it was very encouraging. So with that, I've had many accomplishments that I'm very proud of, as she stated, being invited to undergraduate conferences, being co-author on papers with my mentor, being included in journals from Georgia Tech, and being invited here, which I'm so thankful for. And I think it's so